You are welcome to a world of total self-abandonment to the will of God, the religious life. The religious life is a life worthwhile to impress, but goes with great sacrifices. The Code of Canon Law of the Catholic Church, 207, says that this life does not belong to the hierarchical constitution of the Church, but in a special way among the Christ's faithful, it promotes the salvific mission of the Church. It pertains to the life and holiness of the Church. The religious life began on time in the history of the Catholic Church, beginning from prominent figures in the East like Pachomius and Anthony of Egypt, who went into the desert and started a life of solitude, what we can call the monastic life. In the West, St. Benedict gave the religious life a pronounced face by writing out the law that guides the religious. The religious life has underwent a lot of reformation, and what we have today is what gives us the face of the life of Christ, the face of the life of choosing the 12 apostles to himself to come and draw close to him in a special way. Now, the religious life begins with a voluntary giving of oneself and writing of application to a particular institute of one's choice. An institute one must have learned about and decide voluntarily to belong to. This begins with writing of application, and once this application is accepted, the life begins in its nascent form, with aspirancy and postulancy. Here, the candidate begins to develop and cultivate an inner disposition to cut off from family ties and worldly cares. After a successful completion of this period, one goes into the novitiate. It is in the novitiate that the life of the religious is more pronounced, is cultivated. Here, one learns the life and charism of the institute. It takes a period of 1 or 2 years according to the laws and constitution of a particular institute. At the completion of this novitiate, one makes a profession of vows. The profession of vows binds the candidate to God and to the Church through his institute. The institute is very important because it serves as a medium by which one is connected to God and to the Church. Remember, it is not a private vow, it is a public vow. The vow of profession of the evangelical counsels of chastity, obedience, and poverty. Some institutes add their own. It can be 4, it can be 5. Some monasteries add the vow of stability. Our congregation, the Missionaries of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, adds the vow of perseverance. Now, the seminary formation of the candidates begins. The formation and study of philosophy and theology. Again, within this time in the seminary formation, the candidate, the religious, is allowed to follow a program that makes him or her stronger and mature as a religious. There are times for labor, farm work. There are times for games. There are times to eat. There are times to pray, to go to the chapel. There are times for various things that will guide the religious to live out his life in a very mature and emotionally balanced way. There are equally times for work when the seminarians are allowed to go out of the seminary and come back. These form and constitute the mature life of the religious. The religious learns how to live in common with his brothers or with his sisters. The religious learns how to share his property, how to share his life with his brothers and his sisters. It is at this time that the religious spends more time in the community house. Times of holidays are so limited. Some give 21 days to share time with the families, but more time at the community house. The life of the religious is a life of work, pray, and sleep. After every year, the religious renews his vows, renews his commitment for a minimum of 3 years before he can go into the perpetual profession. Now, this renewal of vow is like giving a cup, a testing to a candidate. You test for 3 years. After the completion of this testing, if one decides to go for another testing, one is free to. And after this, one is subsumed and plunged into the perpetual profession as a religious. After this, one begins to anticipate for the men who are aspiring the priesthood. One begins to anticipate the diaconate ordination. And here, one begins to leave the stage of religious into a stage of the hierarchical constitution of the church, because diaconate belongs to the holy orders, and that is in the hierarchy, the third hierarchy in the Catholic Church. After the diaconate ordination, the candidate is admitted to the priestly ordination. After the priesthood, the religious is sent. For the men, you can be sent to anywhere, and this is where the profession of vows come into concretization. Obedience. You are sent to pour out your life like Christ. For the ladies, the religious, the sisters or the nuns, they are sent after the first profession, and they continue to strive to their perpetual profession. So the religious life is a very beautiful life to embrace, but goes with great sacrifices. It is the duty of a candidate who wants to embrace this life to focus and allow himself to become an instrument in the hands of God. It is a sweet life. Welcome to this beautiful life, the religious life.
I wish you to take possession of me as soon as possible and in the most perfect way.